Hey, let's dive into the elephant in the room. The recent server merge in the Division 2 and what it means for the future of the game. Ubisoft's been making moves, but are these good moves or just signs of trouble? We're going to break it all down, from what the server merge signals about the player base to what's happening behind the scenes at Ubisoft and some of their other major titles, because it all ties back to the Division 2. So buckle up, things are about to get interesting. Let's do it.
Piece of shit wristwatch.
Let's just get the easy stuff out of the way. The servers went down in the wee hours of the night to load up the new title update 21.4. This is just a touch-up patch, and the mentionables are that after 6 months, they finally fixed the ammo reload bug. For rock and roll users, this one's for you. They also stopped the DZ exploit glitch where players could go into lower matchmaking lobbies by not claiming their watch. Otherwise, stability fixes. Last week, on August 27th, there was a mysterious infrastructure maintenance update. Do you remember this? There weren't any real major notes about what exactly it was for. Well, we learned more about that today in this note from the dev. I'll just read it because this segues us into the elephant in the room. Agents, following the infrastructure update and merge of the US servers last week, some of you may have noticed an uptick in crashes and lag. Ideally, merging the regions shouldn't have negatively affected your gaming experience, and latency should remain unchanged for the US players. We're still gathering data to fully understand the impact of this change, and we'll keep monitoring the situation until we can confirm that the servers are in the best possible location for optimal ping. Additionally, some of you might have found yourself locked out of your accounts due to the increase in crashes. This is a precautionary measure to protect your save files from potential corruption caused by infrastructure changes or crashes. If you're still unable to access your save game, please share your user ID in the comments and we'll assist you. This is on Twitter, or X, by the way. So I've heard from many players about their game not performing with issues from constant screen jittering, unstoppable camera rotation, and account lockouts. Hopefully they resolve that quickly, and by quickly, I mean by first thing in the morning. We'll see. All right, first off, let's talk about the server merge. It raises some red flags. When a game merges servers, it usually means the player base has shrunk enough that consolidation is necessary. That's not exactly comforting news if you're hoping for a long, healthy future for the Division 2, but if you've been following what's been going on since Year 6 Season 1 launched, it also might not be that much of a surprise. So what does this mean for the game? Well, it could be Ubisoft's way of keeping the game alive by ensuring the remaining players have a smoother, more engaging experience. By merging servers, they can make it easier for us to find groups for activities like raids, missions, and PvP. It could also be a positive move to keep the community thriving, even if it's smaller than before. But here's where things get a little bit more complicated. The server merge could also be a sign that Ubisoft is shifting resources. We've all heard the rumors about the Division 3 being in development, and this merge might be a way to keep the current community engaged while the company focuses on bigger projects. But it might not just be the Division 3. Now, Ubisoft's got a lot going on right now. Let's not forget about the Division Heartland, a game that was highly anticipated by the Division 2 fans but ended up being canceled. Those resources were redirected to Defiant, Ubisoft's attempt to break into the free-to-play shooter market. But here's the kicker. Defiant isn't doing so hot right now. Defiant was Ubisoft's golden child when it launched in May of 2024, and now the future of Defiant as a whole is looking grim because apparently the game isn't doing very good, and it may very well shut down in the relative near future. Yeah, damn big news, right? So this is coming in from Tom Henderson, who is an industry insider. He has his own website, Insider Gaming. This dude's been leaking stuff forever, and he's a very, very reputable source, and he apparently has been speaking to certain people at Ubisoft in regards to Defiant, and the news is not very good. The article is short and sweet, to the point, so I just want to read it out loud for you guys. Exclusive Defiant is on borrowed time as player numbers decline rapidly. Okay, so according to several sources at Ubisoft San Francisco has until the end of Season 3 of Defiant to improve the game's bleak player numbers. Defiant was all the buzz when it launched in May of 2024. The game exceeded 1 million unique players in its first 2.5 hours. a Ubisoft record, and exceeded over 8 million players in its first week. Executives were thrilled at the title's future and even reported in the company's latest press release that Defiant revenue contributed to its Q1 2025 financial success. But now, just 6 weeks from its Q1 financial report, Ubisoft HQ wants player numbers to increase by Season 3 or Defiant risks losing its much-needed post-launch support. Internally, optimism for the game has shifted primarily due to the game's continuously declining player numbers and lack of player spending. One source told me that the game has been struggling to obtain 20,000 concurrent players across all its platforms, whereas another said they, that being Ubisoft, would probably be happy with that number, suggesting that it's now much lower. Declining numbers have created tension and anxiety within the team, with sources who spoke to me believing that more layoffs are only a matter of time. It's not like Ubisoft San Francisco isn't already feeling the pressure either. Earlier this month, Ubisoft cut 45 jobs at its San Francisco, California, and North Carolina offices, with around 10 actively working on Defiant, and even more at the studio losing the jobs due to Rocksmith Plus scaling down. Frustrations within the studio are aimed at the leadership, who have refused to take responsibility for the project's shortcomings, which could have been avoided with a better studio culture. In late May of 2024, I reported on the studio's toxic work culture, and despite an internal investigation that concluded last month, I was told that the issue had been swept under the rug and that its problems were still prevalent. As for Defiant's future, leadership is betting all the money on Season 3 to turn things around, but with Call of Duty Black Ops 6 set to release between Season 2 and 3, those I spoke to are feeling pessimistic. One source even went as far as to say expect more Ubisoft San Francisco layoff headlines within the next 6 months. So there it is. If Defiant doesn't turn things around by Season 3, Ubisoft might just pull the plug on post-launch support. And that's where things get scary, not just for Defiant, but for The Division 2 as well. If a big new title like Defiant is on the chopping block, what does that mean for a small game like The Division 2 that's been around for a while and already struggling with player numbers? Again, after only a short time of development reinvigorating efforts, because Ubisoft as a whole is going through some internal issues with reports of layoffs and restructuring across different studios. For example, the San Francisco layoffs of 45 employees. This internal turmoil is creating tension and anxiety within teams, and it's not a good sign for the stability of the company's projects, including The Division 2. To add to that, let's talk about Massive Entertainment, the studio behind The Division 2. At one point, the studio internally abandoned The Division 2 and assigned staff to other projects like Avatar and Star Wars. But by some miracle, they decided to continue servicing the game. Apparently, that was due to investor feedback. But with all this restructuring going on and the Division 2 player counts dropping again, is The Division 2 immune to the chopping block? Now, let's talk player numbers. According to Steam charts, The Division 2 has been averaging around 1,600 concurrent players. Now, that's just PC, but even if you triple that number to account for consoles, we're still looking at a pretty small community, and it's been small for some time now. Is this the smallest it's ever been? And with Defiant struggling and Ubisoft's focus on other major titles like Assassin's Creed, Avatar, and Star Wars, where does that leave The Division 2? If one of Ubisoft's flagship free-to-play games is in trouble, it's hard to imagine resources for The Division 2 aren't subject to reallocation. Speaking of resources, congratulations to Stefan Komlos for being promoted to lead the community management teams for both Defiant and The Division games. Good sign or bad? We don't really know, but if you didn't think The Division 2 and Defiant fates were in the same boat before, maybe this is somewhat of an indicator. Speculating, but the point is that both communities surely are in need of some serious support. I'm glad we have it because, as you know, I'm rooting for both games to succeed. So what about The Division 3? Ubisoft announced that Star Wars Outlaws creative director Julian Garrity would be leading the charge for the next installment of the Division franchise. But with Star Wars having, let's just say, a rocky start, especially on PlayStation and other Ubisoft titles in crisis mode, it's hard to believe that development on The Division 3 is full steam ahead. In fact, I'd be surprised if it's even moving forward at all right now. The server merge feels like a signal that The Division 2 is evolving, but we're not sure in what direction. Is it transitioning into a final phase, or is it a strategic move to keep the community alive while Ubisoft figures out what's next? If it's the latter, better communication from Ubisoft is essential. The player base deserves to know what's going on. Okay, let's scout the comment section and see what the community thinks about the server merge. Okay, here we are over on Twitter. Todd Ames says, seriously, at this point, y'all really need to let this game go already, just like you did with Division 1, even though that game had a lot more potential than this game. Scott Johnson's got a really good point here, and there's whole discussions going on about this. How wouldn't merging the servers cause serious lag and disconnects? If you actually had quality game updates and actually made content, you would have players playing and wouldn't need to merge servers. Agoraphobia, why are you merging? Is this a sign for crossplay? You mentioned that the reason you can do crossplay is because of the infrastructure. Sorry, probably not. I think that would require a whole game rebuild. Action Jackson says, I'm still having issues. July 9th update caused my 4th character slot to be deleted. Ooh. And it's still deleted. He's on PlayStation. Anybody else have that issue? Spring27 says, I'm glad I broke my addiction to this game because it seems like it's in a pretty stale state. 4,000 plus hours was enough. Let me know when the Division 3 drops. Me too. But I'm scared to even look at how many hours I have. I just ignore that area on my loading screen. Call Me D says, this is the worst the servers had ever been. How could things go from bad to worse every week? The heck? Why in heart you're cutting down on your servers? Money problems? I feel bad for the players that are being affected by this. You're killing the reputation of Division franchise more and more, despite I love the franchise. Michael Booz is saying that he can't log into his account. Okay, so I ran around the comment sections to dig up some of these really special comments out here. So the Big Blue Marble says here on YouTube, merging servers means they are reducing support for the Division 2. Gee, what a surprise. Not. And Big Blue Marble's been playing this game for a long time. I recognize him. Shady Sod says, Avatar sales weren't impressive. Star Wars flopped so far. Div 2 servers merging seems everything is going downwards. Doesn't look promising for the Division 3. Yeah, we're gonna have to keep our eye on that. And Dale Goodman, I think, hit the nail on the head. 52 other people agree. They say they didn't merge servers for performance. They merged because they don't have near the number of players to warrant paying for additional server resources. That's what we've been saying in this video. Arctic Fox says, I suppose the elephant in the room is that, good job, Arctic, is that in many other live service or MMO style games I've played, that server merges like this one, indicator of the developer gearing down operations or searching for cost savings. Coupled with cancellations and DLC delays, one could make assumptions that the health of the game behind closed doors isn't that great. I've been playing every night for the last 2 seasons, which is a lot for my 40-plus-year-old adult schedule. But even I just stopped playing cold turkey this week. 19 other people giving it a thumbs up. Wow. So this is a relatively new player, and to see somebody stopping cold turkey only 2 seasons in is quite interesting. Mr. D. Garbage says, infrastructure update means we are cheap and don't care about you. This other fella, I can't pronounce his name, says merging servers is usually the death throw. Raptor Man's talking. He says everybody should have seen this coming. Everyone was merged to the central servers because not many people are playing the game, so it makes no sense to keep all of those servers up and running. Most players have quit and moved on to other games. This is what happens when developers don't deliver new and compelling content. People get tired of playing the same old shite and they move on. Time for y'all to find a new game to play. I'm locked out on my account, but I don't even care at this point. Too many other games to play. Arcty says, when game takes too much servers power than player base, they merge. NA, instead of telling truth that Ubisoft optimizing developers, firing, and money spending. And you won't believe that they want to shut down the Division 1 in year 1? Yeah, right. That kind of brings up a point. So remember there was the rumor going around that the Heartland was being shut down, and then the Heartland development team went on social to say that is not true, and then like a month later they shut it down. Isn't that interesting? Sean Blancard said, nobody merged anything. They shut down servers. Less players leads them to look for cost savings. The Division is dying. It's just so obvious. They're winding down this game. I've said it before, I really doubt Division 3 will come out. I know people sound pessimistic. I doubt Sean doesn't want to see the Division 3. I bet he wants to see it, but people are losing hope. Developers need to pump in some hype into Season 2. The tires are going flat. But Tactical Panda's comment was interesting because I've heard other people saying this too. when we live stream. They say they are making not play the game anymore. I am the last one in my clan to keep playing. It's sad. That is sad, Tactical Panda. That's happening to a lot of people. We're getting comments saying, hey, do you guys have any room in your clan? I need a new clan. My clan is gone. People have just quit. This is a clan killer. This whole season has been. Now, I really want to focus in on David Bowser's comment here. It says, as someone that has managed national IT infrastructure like this, I can say that UB either has poor monitoring, agent-side diagnostics, poor infra design, or both. Based on the history of bugs that get fixed and come back, they have poor code review audit too. We could all probably agree with that, right? With cloud providers like Google, AWS, and Azure, the lag would be the only issue that they could possibly provide. With those three, running servers in Virginia is exactly the same as Texas, California, etc. So even if they are using one of those three, they are still having multiple other problems. And that's true. I mean, you can think that centralizing all the servers helps them manage it better, and maybe we'll see that impact in the future. But I doubt that's the direct reason why they're consolidating servers. First, it is probably a cost savings due to the fact that they had a considerable player drop off ever since basically year 6 was launched with the news of seasonal characters. That cut off a lot of the player base, followed by 2 seasons back to back with about the crappiest gear we could have gotten, absolutely no exotics, and they're just up to the same old tricks, which is not communicating to the community. Perfect storm for a player drop and server consolidation request. At the end of the day, the Division 2 is in a strange place. The server merge might help create a more vibrant in-game community, but it's also a reminder that the player base isn't what it used to be, especially after this seasonal character debacle. Ubisoft has a lot on its plate right now, and the way I see it, the future of the Division 2 is closely tied to how the company handles its other projects. So, what do you think? Is the server merge a positive step forward, or are we witnessing the beginning of a service downshift for the Division 2? Whatever it is, we won't really know until after it already happened. Isn't that the Ubisoft massive studio way of doing things in the Division? Let me know what you think in the comments below. Thank you for hanging out with me today. My name is Tuxedo Bandido. That's Tito Bandido.
What's crack-a-lackin'?
This was another episode of The Division 2. If you found this video helpful, subscribe, like, and turn on notifications to ensure you don't miss out on the fantastic experiences waiting for you in The Division 2. And if you like builds like this, check out the recommended build video I have here for you. If you have anything you want to see covered, be sure to let me know in the comments below. And thank you to all the channel members and donors who make everything possible. Tux Nation wouldn't be without you.
When you buy a game from Ubisoft, enter the creator code Tuxedo Bandido to support the channel. Easy peasy. Now maybe this cheapskate can afford to sign me up for that dating app I've had my eyes on.
Follow me.
I get it.